This is Susan Holmes. I'm having a conversation. I just wanted to have a conversation with the public to draw their attention to a number of things that are taking place here in Fort Collins. Besides that, are in addition to all of the videos that I've made exposing the corruption with the judiciary, with the DA, and with the police. Recently, there was a lot of media attention on the fact that I filed an ERPO against a violent and threatening police officer, Phil Morris, the person who slaughtered my son, Jeremy. A lot of people, it doesn't seem like a lot of people really understand what happened in this case, my open records case. And you have to, watch some of the videos to get really a lot of the details. But basically, the Attorney General's office representing CSU shut down any access for me to have access to the body camera footage or the audio, unredacted, in my son's homicide. I've talked about that in a couple other videos. There is other problems here that are going on. But here's what happened is when I started to look at Sheriff Justin Smith's claims, and by the way, Justin Smith always attacks me. He's a mouthpiece for the ring of corruption. That guy always attacks me. I've never said anything negative about him, but I'm going to address it now. Sheriff Justin Smith needs to stop attacking somebody who's actually brought forward facts and evidence to prove the ongoing corruption in the judiciary, in the DA, and with the police. And he knows that. But he's their mouthpiece. And by the way, I happen to think he's controlled opposition. Maybe that'll be a new concept for some people. Maybe some people who have a lot of knowledge about how operations are run. But they usually put people in place who appear to be on the opposite side of a situation or an event or a policy or a law. And they seem to be supporting a certain position, but the reality is they're there in place to maintain control of the people that are opposing the policy. Now, Sheriff Justin Smith has come out and stated that he's supports people's Second Amendment to gun rights. He's made that very clear. That's what he's been voted in on. He has a following, he has an audience, he has a population of people who vote him in Larimer County. However, he was the first person in Larimer County to file an ERPO to apply the red flag law. He filed an ERPO against David V. Gatton, who he's had in jail for months, nonstop for months. It was shocking to me when I looked up this information about David Gatton to find out that he had no due process. Well, what was shocking that isn't shocking, because actually Fort Collins judiciary is so corrupt that doesn't surprise me. And you can see that in my case, in both cases, in my open records case and in my case that I brought with the ERPO. That Judge Howard, should have never appointed himself to that case because he knew he was biased towards me. But that's part of their ring of corruption here. They've got a gang here. They've got a ring. They all work together, and they've been doing it for a long time. And Sheriff Justin Smith is the mouthpiece for them. I believe he's controlled opposition. Why would a sheriff who's taken this huge position on gun rights in the Second Amendment and yet be the first one to apply the red flag law? Just ask yourself that question. I addressed this in a video that I put out at the same time I put my ERPO video out, another video where I said, hey, you can't depend on your sheriffs to protect your positions on your constitutional rights, because this red flag law is state law now. Anyone can use it who's law enforcement. I made that very clear. And guess what? Sheriff Justin Smith applied the red flag law. It seems to me Sheriff Justin Smith is talking out of both sides of his mouth. He also likes to threaten people and threaten me, but he never, Sheriff Justin Smith never, ever is outraged at the violation of due process for any citizen. You never see him being outraged. Oh, wow. They should let Susan, have you ever heard Justin Smith ever say they should let Mrs. Holmes, Susan Holmes, have the unredacted body camera footage and audio? I would, I support that. She has a right to have that information. You'll never hear that out of Justin Smith's mouth. You'll never hear him supporting the rights of citizens in any way if it conflicts with law enforcement. Now, Sheriff Justin Smith, like I said earlier, has been attacking me quite a while. Whenever he gets a chance, he attacks me. And he tries to demean me and put it down to emotion, that I'm running on emotion. But he obviously hasn't had a child slaughtered by a violent police officer who has a history of violence. He hasn't had a child slaughtered by a law enforcement officer. And he needs to stop utilizing that kind of smear tactic on me when I've presented evidence across the board, and he knows it in my videos. But like I said, he's the mouthpiece for this ring of corruption up here. Now, here's the thing I want to talk about. I believe when I looked at all the information that's out there now, I did a lot of research. I talked to a number of people. I believe that Sheriff Justin Smith's ERPO was just the beginning of setting up Dave Gatton as a patsy. Look at the profile of Gatton that they've laid out for him in the newspaper articles that are all, everything in the profile has been communicated by the sheriff. It's all been set up by the sheriff. You never hear Gatton's voice anywhere in any of this. It's just the sheriff saying, oh, he's threatening to have mass shootings on campuses. He's threatening to do this. He's threatening to do that. You know, he's even registered as a libertarian. David V. Gatton registered as a libertarian to vote in February 2019, and then all of a sudden he's put in jail in March of 2019, and he's been sitting there in the sheriff's jail since March 2019 after he registered to vote as a libertarian. Okay? And then the sheriff comes out with this narrative of that he's threatening people. He's threatening to shoot campuses up. Now, where have we heard that before? Wow. Threatening to shoot up campuses, lone gunman, crazy, mentally ill, libertarian. Where have we seen that before? Oh, yeah. That's the playbook for false flag operations. Lone gunmen. Just connect the dots. I'm going to provide that information below in this video. But I believe that there was going to be, or still might be, a false flag operation in Colorado to show again the necessity of this red flag law. And it appears to me that David V. Gatton looks like he was going to be the patsy or fall guy for this, potentially. He fits the profile. Yes, Sheriff Smith was stating in his little Facebook comments that Larimer County is ground zero for the red flag law. That's a very big pronouncement coming from somebody who wouldn't serve the ERPO on his fellow officer, Phil Morris. No, he wouldn't serve it. He made a big, he was out mouthing off everywhere in the community, and that's basically what sheriff does. Gets out there and takes, all these positions, and then he never follows through on them. He filed an ERPO. The first one of your first sheriffs in Colorado to file an ERPO and support the red flag law. You think he's working for people who want their constitutional rights supported? You think so? No, he's not. He's working for the group that runs for Collins and that took over Colorado a few years ago. That's the same group who pushed this law through, the red flag law. It really should be called Operation Ground Zero ERPO implementation. And guess who took the lead on that? Larimer County Sheriff Justin Smith. Now, if you want to know who Sheriff Justin Smith really works for, I'm going to present some information here. Oh, and by the way, just so everybody can be aware, David Gatton, you know what his middle name is? That David V. Gatton? I can't even pronounce it. I'll be showing it to you, further on this video, but I can't even pronounce it. It's a Russian name. It's a long Russian name. David V. Russian sounding name, Gatton. I spoke to Gatton's parents and asked him, was that a Russian name? And they said yes, it was. So he not only fits the profile of a libertarian who's into gun rights. Oh, he's going to shoot up campuses. Mass shooting. He also has a Russian middle name. So, wow. Is the other part of the operation supposed to be the Russians did it? Is he supposed to be tagged as a Russian operative? I'm just asking some questions, and I'm just laying this out. Because people who understand how operations work will see that there's a lot of flags in Ground Zero for Operation ERPO. Right out in northern Colorado, there's a lot of people in northern Colorado who are part of the takeover of the Colorado state in the last few years. Articles were written about them. Who are the puppeteers behind this ring of corruption in Fort Collins? Very easy to identify. Look at who's pushing through, who pushed through the ERPO red flag law. Look at who wants to give police nonstop powers. constitutional powers that they should not have. They're employees. They're government employees of the city. Who doesn't want you to have constitutional rights in Colorado? Who has been funding people in Colorado and backing all the campaigns in Colorado? Who has done that? After leaving his position as President of the United States of America. He's all over Colorado. One of the persons who supposedly took over Colorado a few years ago, a billionaire, was awarded millions and millions of dollars from Obama's administration for a solar company that was a shambles after a number of months. Millions and millions of taxpayer money given to a billionaire who created a defunct solar company. Oh, wait a minute. That's one of those persons that lives in Colorado. And not only Colorado, but Fort Collins, Colorado. I think the people of Colorado need to start growing up. They need to expand their view of the world and understand that Colorado, northern Colorado, is now controlled very easily controlled because the ring of corruption here, they all work with the puppeteers who push this law through. I want you just look at all of the campaign backing that the people in northern Colorado got. Look at who backed them. Look at who supports them in their runs for office. Obama. Obama, who instituted and started to fund a global police force via the United Nations. If you want to know what's really going on in Fort Collins, Colorado, just start doing the research. I told the public when I started doing these videos, I was going to tell the truth. The ring of corruption in Fort Collins, these people who created this bill and pushed it through are all puppeted by a group that's associated with Obama, Barry Soetoro. They want the police to have powers because they can manipulate the police. Obama supports a global police force. And they need malleable puppets, nice little criminal people who have no problem lying, withholding public records from people, influencing judges. They have no problem with that. And they found it in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'll show you who Sheriff Justin Smith really works with and for further on in this video. Susan Holmes.